Often politicians tell us lies we want to hear rather than truths we need to know, leaving one to ask whether they should be followers of our desires or leaders of our needs. There seems to be a mysterious force in the universe, one that overwhelms gravity on the grandest scale to push the cosmos apart. We call it dark energy, but that name, like dark matter, is merely a code word for our ignorance. It's okay not to know all the answers. It's better to admit our ignorance than to believe answers that might be wrong. Pretending to know everything closes the door to finding out what's really there. By burning coal, oil and gas, our civilization is exhaling carbon dioxide much faster than Earth can absorb it. So, CO2 is building up in the atmosphere. The planet is heating up. I could be thousands of miles away, and yet, when you turn on whatever device is bringing my image and voice to you, I'm there. Instantaneously. How is that possible? It all began in the mind of one person. This is the story of how we learned to make electrons do our bidding. Congratulations. You're alive. There's an unbroken thread that stretches across more than 3 billion years that connects us to the first life that ever touched this world. Think of how tough, resourceful and lucky all of our countless ancestors must have been to survive long enough to pass on the message of life to the next and the next and the next generation, hundreds of millions of times before it came to us. Each of us is a runner in the longest and most dangerous relay race there ever was, and at this moment, we hold the baton in our hands. Few animals larger than 100 pounds survived the catastrophes of the late Cretaceous. The dust cloud brought night and cold to the surface for months. The dinosaurs froze and starved to death. But there were small creatures who took shelter in the earth. And when they emerged they found that the monsters who had hunted and terrorized them were gone. The earth was becoming the planet of the mammals. And the earth continued its ceaseless changing. 2/3 of the earth lies beneath more than 1,000 feet of water. It's a vast and largely unexplored frontier. This is the longest submarine mountain range in the world, the Atlantic Mid-Ocean Ridge. It wraps around our globe like the seam on a baseball. The past is another planet, but most of us don't really know this one. Nothing lasts forever, even the stars die. There are many kinds of stars. Some are bright like the sun. Some are dim. The greatest stars are 10 million times larger than the smallest ones. Some stars are old beyond imagining, more than 10 billion years of age. Others are being born right now. When atoms fuse in the hearts of stars, they make starlight. Stars are born in litters, formed from the gas and dust of interstellar clouds. For thousands of generations we watched the stars as if our lives depended on it, because they did. Our ancestors noticed that the motions of the stars across the nights of the year foretold changes on Earth that threatened or enhanced our chances for survival. There are more atoms in your eye than there are stars in all the galaxies in the known universe. The age and size of the cosmos are written in light. The nature of beauty and the substance of the stars, the laws of space and time, they were there all along, but we never saw them until we devised a more powerful way of seeing. Using nothing more than Newton's laws of gravitation, we astronomers can confidently predict that several billion years from now our home galaxy, the Milky Way, will merge with our neighboring galaxy, Andromeda. Any life on the worlds of that far-off future would be treated to an amazing billion-year-long light show, a dance of 500 billion stars, to music first heard on one little world, by a man who had but one true friend. Science works on the frontier between knowledge and ignorance. We are not afraid to admit what we don't know. There's no shame in that. The only shame is to pretend that we have all the answers. The theory of evolution, like the theory of gravity, is a scientific fact. Evolution really happened. Accepting our kinship with all life on Earth is not only solid science, in my view, it's also a soaring spiritual experience. If life has a sanctuary, it's here in the nucleus, which contains our DNA, the ancient scripture of our genetic code. And it's written in a language that all life can read. Science is a cooperative enterprise spanning the generations. It's the passing of a torch from teacher to student to teacher, a community of minds reaching back to antiquity, and forward to the stars. Many of us suspect that all of this, all the worlds, stars, galaxies and clusters in our observable universe, is but one tiny bubble in an infinite ocean of other universes, a multiverse. Universe upon universe, worlds without end. Whenever an artist dies, the world loses a bit of what makes us uniquely human. I dream of a world where the truth is what shapes people's politics, rather than politics shaping what people think is true. A great challenge of life. Knowing enough to think you are right, but not knowing enough to know you are wrong. Odd that our measures of animal intelligence are often tests for what we do best, rather than tests for what they do best. If you think you look old in a photo you just took, consider instead that you will never again be that young. In school, students cheat because the system values high grades more than students value learning. In school, curiosity is hardly ever taught or nurtured, breeding legions of students who've lost all love of learning. Bears repeating, creativity that satisfies and affirms your worldview is entertainment. Creativity that challenges and disrupts your worldview is art. Science literacy is not only about what you know, it's about your depth of curiosity, and your capacity to evaluate evidence. Scientists are simply adults who retained and nurtured their native curiosity from childhood. The perennial cry to save Earth is odd. Planet Earth survives massive asteroid strikes, it'll survive anything we throw at it. But life on Earth will not. Claiming there is no other life in the universe is like scooping up some water, looking at the cup and claiming there are no whales in the ocean. Everyone should have their mind blown once a day. The most successful people recognize that in life they create their own love, they manufacture their own meaning, they generate their own motivation. It is the destiny of stars to collapse. Just an FYI, energy consumed by the United States in 1 year equals the energy made by the sun in 1/1,000,000th of a second. Show me a nation with a science-hostile government, and I'll show you a society with failing health, wealth, and security. There's just no way around this one, no matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you energy. Would be cool if we discovered intelligent life on a planet orbiting the bright star Vega and learned that they're all vegans. The rise of flat earthers in society provides some of the best evidence for the failure of our educational system. Kids are never the problem. They are born scientists. The problem is always the adults. They beat the curiosity out of kids. They outnumber kids. They vote. They wield resources. That's why my public focus is primarily adults. If aliens did visit us, I'd be embarrassed to tell them we still dig fossil fuels from the ground as a source of energy.